it's been an incredible experience, and we had a little tour of the Acropolis yesterday, and it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely stunning. So as an emotional experience, having completed the journey and to show all of the people here our film for the first time, it's just been absolutely wonderful. I couldn't be more touched and honored to be here. Thank you.
The comparison is inevitable.
Yes.
Okay. So I have to ask you...
It's just like Mrs. Doubtfire, I know. First of all, there are two things. One is the fact that the picture, I have 4 children of my own. I've spent the last 18 years going to children's films, most of the time. And I have problems in certain elements, because sometimes the children's films speak down to the adults, so you're sitting there for 2 hours bored out of your skull. Or sometimes children's films are geared for adults, and the kids are bored out of their skull. So there has to be a way, a delicate balancing act of making absolutely certain that the film works for both the adults and the kids. And it's also not making it too violent, too scary for children. And as years go by, kids become slightly more desensitized to whether... I think this picture probably would have been rated PG-13 about 10 years ago. But we've shown the picture to 7-year-olds who absolutely love it, are mesmerized by the picture. So for me... That's the ultimate compliment, when I can see a parent and a child watching the same picture and they get up to run to the bathroom and run back so they don't miss a moment of the picture, and that's what's been happening when we've screened this picture. So I'm very proud of having been able to handle that particular delicate balancing act. In terms of Harry Potter, the only thing this prepared me for was Harry Potter was like a graduate course in learning how to deal with visual effects. And for me, I was much more comfortable, having done 3 of those pictures, 1 as a producer, 2 as a director, I was much more comfortable dealing with the visual effects in this picture. And I also felt a sense of freedom. Remember, when we did Potter, there was sort of the eyes of the world were on us in terms of casting. And on this film, I had a tremendous sense of directorial freedom. And so I thought about the film first, and that was all that mattered for me, was the film. And also, I think the comparisons to Potter are inevitable, but I wish I could stop them, although the studio keeps saying from the director of Harry Potter, so it's almost impossible. But I do believe that all fantasy films are linked by a specific concept, whether it's Spider-Man, whether it's Lord of the Rings, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's our film. It's the fact that you have a hero who is flawed, who is dealing with some sort of tragedy or weakness in their life. And that is what makes great fantasy. And quite frankly, it makes great... Charles Dickens did it all the time, so it's great character stuff. But I think we're linked to a lot of other films except in Harry Potter. So thanks.
It's obviously a big decision before being a part of this movie to, to sign on for 3 films or do the whole series. That's what you're planning to do. And, I have a lot of faith in Chris and his, my personal attachment is, to working with Chris, and I hope you're down to do all of them, because that is the reason why I guess we're all here.
Yeah, we do 2, and then we'll bring in Alfonso.
Yeah.
No, if we're lucky enough, I think it's bad luck to actually talk about if we get enough support and enough people show up, I would love to work with this cast for the next several years. It would just be a dream come true, but we have to have that opening weekend. So please tell all your friends to show up.
The decision to not actually worry about the War of the Gods and the focus on saving the hero's mother, is it more of a Greek mythology kind of a character or more of an American hero?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, I mean, as far as I was concerned, as I said earlier, I had a tremendous amount of freedom in terms of being able to adapt the more cinematic version of the film. And for me, I always, I respond to the more emotional aspects of any particular story. That's just who I am. So I responded to the fact that this guy has lost his mother, and the quest for his mother just felt like more of an emotional connection. The War of the Gods notwithstanding, I mean, that's obviously a huge deal. But I really, really responded to Percy's quest to save his mother. It's always been that way in terms of the types of films I've been involved with. I always respond to something that is deeply, deeply emotional for me. And all right, I've obviously got an issue with my own mother, who I miss dearly. So it's very personal for me. So in terms of Greek mythology, again, Greek mythology is extremely complex, as many of you probably know. So the darker sides of Greek mythology and the more R-rated aspects of Greek mythology we don't really deal with in this particular film because, quite frankly, that's for a much older audience. Ours is more of the classics illustrated children's version of Greek mythology, and hopefully when a kid sees our film they will be inspired to start to learn a little more about Greek mythology. But there is an underlying layer for adults in our film that deals with the fact that when Medusa says I used to date your daddy, that's referring to a very dark chapter in Greek mythology. So again, there are those things, if you pay attention, if you've read your Greek mythology, will be a little treat for you.
Okay. You play Hades, who is basically like a rock star god in the film. Did you have a specific rock star in mind when creating the character?
Well, I think he's definitely a British rock star. Because I had these heels that I wore because I think there's a kind of like an androgynous quality to British rock stars that American rock stars don't have, is that they have this peacock, like preened, kind of slightly effeminate quality. I think for me, it was kind of an amalgam of Mick Jagger, Robert Plant, maybe Jimmy Page, and a little bit of Ozzy Osbourne. So all mixed up together.
The gateway to the underworld is the Hollywood sign. The underworld is LA. Could you share a story of Hollywood hell, maybe? And every one of you?
I have a few Hollywood hell stories, but this is not the occasion to tell you those. You have to talk to me afterwards outside. But I think it's entirely appropriate that they made Hollywood hell. I think it's engaging, it's self-deprecating. It's sort of this is a big Hollywood movie, and it's sort of laughing at itself. So I think that engages people.
Great. I had never done anything like that before in my life. So you come in and it can be a little intimidating at first, but we had an amazing stunt team. They know exactly what tricks to tell you that will get you to look awesome. And working with these guys was great because you have a great person to give the energy back to you, and it ended up looking really cool, I think.
I love this country. I've had some of the greatest times here. Obviously, Mamma Mia, we're up there in Skopolis and Skiathos, and visited my wife when we finished Mamma Mia there 2 years ago. We came through Athens, and it was my wife's birthday, and we had the most romantic time here. So, thank you.
Do you think that having a 2D movie at this time, these days, is disadvantage? Do you like 3D movies at all?
I've been obsessed by 3D ever since I saw House of Wax. I mean, seriously, I was an obsessed kid, and when I heard that there was a movie called The Stewardesses in 3D, which was an X-rated 3D movie, I was like, wow, what could be better? I remember sneaking into the drive-in with my friends, and we were 15 or 16, into seeing that movie, and the 3D didn't work very well, so I was frustrated. So it's great. I've always been it's great to actually see something in 3D that actually works, and I find 3D fantastic. Do I think that is it the future? Without a doubt. Had we had the opportunity to do this particular film in 3D, it would have been fantastic, but unfortunately we're not in 3D, but at the same time I think it's an exciting film. I think once you get into the cinema and you see the film, you're not thinking, I wish this were in 3D. I'm missing something. I don't think that everything needs to be in 3D. And I'd like to see some dramas, some musicals in 3D. I think the next level of 3D is, can you pull off a small, independent, drama in 3D? How would that work? It might be interesting. Will the characters draw you in? So, yeah, 3D is fantastic and awesome, and maybe if we're lucky and fortunate enough, we'll get to do the next one in 3D. Yeah.
We only have